Instead of job Humaneas.
George Tiger det het galgi George agi dum OS det är då George Miko George Bristow läger och OS Chahis kada Yardika Chahis kada OS Bogin men Chachuro Iris a bogey Churchkit Kudi Tiger Hojifkit Churchkit Lila McNack Tiger Hojifkit always how you at man your Bristol leg out so how it Francis you chug it debugit your Bristol cop to
Here Mvskoke abonaga abone hoja sumge bangan mahogin bohidonga. Nita origin mohidi gunwacha jinda.
and Ponagarat Ajolagi Ponagat Moy in Mabohes each lady always not Margaret I guess there's a Nita origin Ponagarat Sibu Haknat Hilikan Margaret. My name is George Tiger. My background is I live here in Bristow, Oklahoma. I was born in a small creek community, Yardika, but I grew up in Okmulgee. My dad's name was Cootie Tiger. My mother's name was Lila McNack Tiger. Growing up, the elders always had a fear of losing our language, and they taught us. It wasn't out of a book, but they taught us, and we learned by listening to them. And they always had a fear that there may be a day that we may lose our language, and it was their prayer that that day never comes.
Unga istijadi bonaga bonai jijola didua.
Ponai always Ponai is Ponai Tanasti Hoshidun.
More doors.
I grew up speaking our language, but as I grew older, I may have moved somewhere where the language is not spoken. And as you know, if you don't speak it, you have a tendency to forget. Always, I always went back to Yardika, whether it was at church or Uchiabova, or ceremonial grounds, and got with my relatives. When I'm not Chanhilidu much. I always felt good because if I had a tendency to not remember some of the words I might have forgotten, I went back to our community or our church or ceremonial grounds with my relatives, and sometimes we just sit there and talk. And I always enjoy that so that I don't forget.
Jijut ko that yan nak anda jabosi hayo his magit amonai domadi nak mijigot ma hogan wes stimbo hagodom nak stomen maga godomat haya bidagi nak mejahan chigat jimasito es ke jaka stimbo hagido nak stone magin anda stimbo hagodomat skejen jinta nak jijola mowigot chige hojedidoa jinta
Chagay hojin chujulu. Ada hojif karesa. Wega chagay hojin man hojif kados kung do man. You know, today our youth they question everything we that is said to them by their parents or grandparents, and to me it's showing disrespect to our elders and our parents. You know, we weren't raised that way. You know. What they said was pretty much a given, and you know, even in the language that they shared with us, you respected that language and their wishes. And in our language, "wegas" means quit or don't do that. And we used to say among ourselves. I have 3 brothers that my mom used to say I should have named all you all "wegas" because every time you turn around, y'all doing something you're not supposed to. You know? But I get this go. I'm trying. I want to move on. Pida get at not where's my whole not. Pohigorin not the one no. Today they don't they're not disciplined like maybe during our era when we were growing up. And I think sometimes that's part of who we are as Mvskoke. That our language is just not a language. It's also a way of life that we were brought up in. And I always tell my kids that I wouldn't trade the era I grew up in. Chajulat that Ajoligi Fulaga, Agiteska, Izenoat man, Madoma Reda Agiteska, Nak Pumahaya Kadi.
Mahago Jogo Allegicha, Stoa Arthit Stehek Bonaga, Jinta Gitli Chimedi.
My Yordika Mahagojola grades 1st through 8th do always Chichadi Punaga Digosik Punaya Poli Dumas. Manokmogin Abohit Abogia to hit get about Punaga Kitty Unimat. We didn't know English when we moved from Yordika to Mogi. And Mabogia Mahagajo Legat Cheskit Akit principal Kisijit. Did Ibonagara get the Yudoish Market Imonaya. The Jadagi Ibonaga Davis a kit the Yudoish. Marlin had my principal Dunkos Imanaji is Moot did Ibonagara. I guess let's go that moment I guess Doji Monkey said it always a stability always fully dim. Had a not state Gimakana Magi had a bilgo shy do matter. I grew up. My first 2 years of school was at Yordika, and it was grades 1st through 8th, and the teacher, although he was Choctaw, Mr. Cho, he knew enough Creek that we were actually taught in the subjects in Creek, and so every once in a while he would share an English word with us, but I myself and my brothers. When we moved from Yordika to Okmulgee, we couldn't speak language, the English language. So we moved across the street, actually, from the school we were going to be attending. My dad went and visited the principal and let him know that, we were going to be going to that school, but we couldn't speak English. And Mr. Davis, who's the principal, told my dad, "That's okay, we'll work with them." And so that's how we learned to speak English. But in our house, our major language was Mvskoke.
And Jaminito Sad, Jobosi, Anogichkat, Sumgi Base, Maginomats, Bomistogi, Anogichkat, Mastimoji, fully know what he says, OS, Masumgi Base, Maginomats. Jinda Negina Diclecha, Amada, Anogichka Mahoga.
Mara solitos no mai do mai. Avana guska ma hoven tajolle I want state go going puha gibi dundos. Naka I guess let's go with that. Anogiska ada stiman edit do honey puga hoje Pujala Gidunda, Pujala, always Mongodo Hanu. Nagamoga is the Stimanagical Lolin. Adan Ajoli Hayuel Doya. Agisteska. Falada Netta Owen, Ajoli Makage, Hayuela Sositos, Agistay. Anogiska that Hijisko, only Lolito. OS, yeah, Hanyui, Media, Tid Hits no, the Aristoska, Maria, Omagadi, Sokabu Gida, but I guess that's what I say, Hanyui Media. There was a period of time in growing up that we were taught about respect and loving one another and taking care of one another. But more and more today, we don't see that as much. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. I think the elders would be disappointed in this right now because, as Mvskoke had a job, we see that all around us. Our youth don't have the respect for elders as they used to. The love that you have for your elders, that it's not like it used to be. I always say I don't think that those days that we grew up with will ever get back to that. But I think through the project that we're doing with this video and everything, that someone that will see it, I hope, will say, I'm going to take the challenge and make sure that what I hear and what I see on this video, I'm going to carry forward and respect the teachings of our elders. Mahogan, I hope that they will do that.
Here, Nokira Taki, Ukalagangi, COVID Mahoga. Jinda, Istui, Jinhi Changa, Jinda, Ma, COVID Mahoga, Jinoke Janga Jinda, or Jimistogi.
But, would, Nokira, I guess that, Ajulagi Muahaniros Maka Gidimado. Inokida Roli or Haniros Maka Gidimado. And that, what you our elders foresaw this major disease called COVID. They were visionaries. They knew that there's going to be a day and time when the world was going to stop. That they had this vision that there was going to be this major pandemic, and we saw that. We were fortunate in my family. I didn't get it. I did get a little bit of it, but it was after I had already taken the booster shots and things like that. My wife had it for a little bit, but we were fortunate and blessed. But we did have some friends that unfortunately passed away from having it. Always inokira da dolid o han is maga gaget o laginumas and I'm a boy fully engaged. But I guess let's get over it. What they do is I don't like that. It's not to do the old ones they knew. They knew, what was in front of us.
Here, nak here ojia sinembana hogedes oji bonjogodes kasaposin cliche jidunga jinda moi hes kuchedi jinda jimanita.
I guess there's a chocolate sada fullaga momoda ajolaga. I guess that's the movie. Air conditioner, mahoga. I guess that's good. You go to my baba get it. Hadama. Mvskoke jogodes. Above it. Full of that. Air conditioner. What's it like? I guess that's got a ojagi. Boys, I know what that. More you don't know what. Air conditioner or Mvskoke jogodes. For Sunday for Aladi Guru. Always again, today we're fortunate because we can have air conditioner at home. But growing up, we didn't have, we didn't have air conditioning in our home, so there was never a thought on our thought process. Like our ceremonial grounds, they have their seasons, and they go out and growing up, they didn't have that. Our churches, unfortunately, we're blessed because the tribe allows for to have the money for our churches to have air conditioning, and sometimes if those units break down, they won't hold church service or anything like that. We spoil ourselves sometimes, And always, put your water cooler diggers in. And you said that that's what we had. We had water cooler. We fanned ourselves. Yeah.
You walk in. Jiminit that fitten others buna bogeho jidomat. Ajulagi buna yagat arak fisigo fitten others bunda bogeho jidomat. Ama bohejigo. Jindo jin bunaigo doho jimit fitten others bogeho jinda jigeho jidomadi.
Fitten after us bogeho jidomat. Ajulagi rak abo. If our elders were visiting in our homes and they were visiting among ourselves, it was natural for us to go outside because that's what we were taught. Even if we had visitors, and at churches even, we were taught our visitors ate first, before we did. But what we're going to do? You don't see that today. The kids eat first, and they're sitting right in the middle of those elders, listening to everything they say, and that's disrespectful. Disrespect my hogandos and mood mantolitos.
Maranio jagehojidomats. Ajologi met humbaket. Jimit humbatas bogehojidomat. Owes anio anmatidos magedondo an misostagi ojayat. Madam humbakin and it humbedui. Mat mahaga amahoyadi imahaya godogon igitle JD jinda. I guess that you do.
Man maksat thuis nog eens. When we were growing up, sometimes as adults or as parents and grandparents, we don't use what we were taught. We're not teaching that to our kids and our grandkids. That the reason they're sitting among our elders listening is because we haven't taught them. They have to be outside. The reason they're first to be served at dinner table is because we're allowing it, and so there's a reason. I think there's a reason that we've endured as a race of people, as Mvskoke, as long as we have, and we're still strong. And a lot of it is, I think, it goes back to the teachings that we grew up with our elders. And we respected them for teaching us in that manner. I guess we need to get back to that. So, even what we're doing, not only as a family, but as a race of people, as Mvskoke.
Mvskoke ubonaga magia. Imahaido. Nakstoan bon Mvskoke. Boman nita young people no ga nakstoan gitlagira yajagi godoa mat gongwedi jinda negida gitleji chamada
Malduborsko that.
Mara gitlagin on
those little ones are learning. Always my teenagers, I guess, they're not interested in learning. They don't want to learn. But there are some that want to learn. But Hanyoe language program would you have? Abonaga Opatsa. Hitos kung I do it. Well, my leaders that I might get tribe of Ogaga. Hada Mades Pona Yida Kisari Gurundo. Always I guess there's a Laborskos of Man Imaha, you know, Kista no, Materially do handrusk, I guess that's who they don't know. Was you know, our little ones, they're willing to learn. I think that's where we have to start with our little ones. I have a little granddaughter that she learns quick. You know, easily learned always. Then I have some that's older than her. They don't have no interest, but those little ones do. Yeah. So I think that's where we start with the little ones.
Nita origin, bombonaga wojia. Something no what. Mvskoke, Istowa hidi. I guess let you do a man.
I guess they do. Nita origin, Fonagada so, what do you go on what? They jot up to yet. My dad. You know, our elders just said there's going to be a time where our language may not exist. And when we get to that point, we as Mvskoke people won't exist either. And I think we've existed because we've kind of hung on that thread to keep our tradition and our culture and our language, you know, to continue those things. Our language is important, very important. It's, you know, it's not, you know, we rap today about some of the things that we don't get from our tribe. But there may be a time when we won't have a tribe. We have to hang on to what's important to us, and it's this language. I guess that's go with that. So that was it.
Here, Bumayede Noge, Mvskoke, Yahegida Des, or Bangladesh, Ojia. How you want? About what? Steak bonaga man. Michida yaja gedando. Next, nagit agitha jagidi. Mvskoke, hofon na di for lot. Hijak no what? Jinda nagin agitha jamada. Imanoki.
Solitos, yeah. Ajologi that Unaga Hayo Pohak. Told her ability for Lagi to speak. I thank you for our elders heard us speaking today, and we're mixing the English and the Creek language together to speak. They would laugh, but they would also be hurt because you know they would certainly would question, you know, what's going on. Next don't know why. You know, what's going on? What are you doing? You know, and so I think I'm encouraged by you know, the language department and even some of the colleges that are offering some language courses and things like that. That's encouraging. But you know, to be truthful, well, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Because I can remember when I served on the council, there was even disagreements on which book to use. for language, our language.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there and I got up and I said, you know, I didn't have a book when I grew up. I learned by, you know, what the elders said. So to me, a book is not important. You know, that's only me. But our, you know, our following generations, that's how they learn now. You know? But I think our elders would be disappointed right now if they saw how gradually we've lost a little bit of our language. But there is a reawakening. I'll say that there's an effort now for some of our youth to learn, and that's a good sign. You know, even in our ceremonial grounds in our churches, you know, the songs that are sung, that's carrying on, and but we're gradually losing that too. So you know, we're a unique people because of the two different ways of conducting our faith and how we do things as Mvskoke, whether it's at the ceremonial grounds or at the churches. You know, there's a period of time when there's a respect between those two, but you see a lot more respect now, and that's a good sign.
Anda jujur a lot. Nakamana hoi domats. Yahudali thako. At nuat. Loja in haspi. Mafachan daklechet. Mijichinuat. Hudali thako da. Jihoyana his. Jabusi jagaji domats. Man mijay mungado. Mojinita. Jinda nak. Muwinak jimana hoyidi.
Now my whole schedule is hudali thako. Hangyo Mijichu Chimanaja Nagari. When there's a tornado coming, you know, some of us were taught that you have a turtle, you know, lip or whatever amount, put it on the side of the house and it would go around. Some even have said you stick an axe, you know, out on the ground. And people swear by it. I mean, they believe in it, you know, and I've seen it happen. You know, I've seen it happen. And, but we're losing even some of those things. You know? And I guess the white people call it a myth, you know. But it you know, we have survived as a race of people in those beliefs, and I hope that there will be a generation that will continue to believe in those things and believe in the language that we have and believe in the direction we're taking to try to keep our tradition, culture, and language alive.
Here the nak chimalegida jinda negidwa. Anda juogidwa.
Hodolgogi.
Hodolgogi.
Hodolgogi. I'm of the Wind clan. Ojibwa, that's tribal town Margarito. You know, in Market, I don't wag behind that. Full blood to West. Mvskoke di Mahidwa. Miko Uksia inauguration Bahova. I may be the last chief, full-blood chief of the Mvskoke people to have ever said or given his inauguration speech, part of it, in our language. And I may be the last full-blood elected chief that went back to our homelands in Alabama and Georgia as a head of our tribe. They have spoken our language. And I did that in 2014 at Horseshoe Bend. And I didn't know that until I came back. And one of our elders at ceremonial grounds, I was down there, he came and told me. He said, I guess that's got your mind. You may be the last full-blood Greek-speaking chief that went back and spoke our language back at the homelands that didn't grow up with their mother.
Uh-huh.
Aquí cerca de aquí estos puntos.
Uh-huh.
A mi Luis.
Uh-huh.